Hello, welcome back to Triple Threat Analysis. I'm here with David and Glenn, and we're going to be doing our Elimination Chamber review episode. So, we're going to go over our predictions, see how we did, talk about the show in general, and where we are going as we lead into WrestleMania. WrestleMania is next, boys. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good time of year when you're a wrestling fan when WrestleMania is the next thing up on the docket. 7 weeks still. We got a long ways to go, but that gives you a lot of time to build these storylines. We've got a lot more set in place now that the chamber's over, and obviously that's what we're going to talk about here today. So,
I'm not hyped yet, but we're getting there.
We're getting there, especially after Raw yesterday. I'm kind of more hyped, But let's talk about Elimination Chamber. What are the overall thoughts of the whole of the event as a whole? Not just certain matches of the whole event. How do y'all feel? How did this impact y'all's excitement for WrestleMania? I guess.
I mean, like I just kind of mentioned on it, definitely put some more matches in place to, give us ideas of what stories are going to take place, what's going to happen on the way to WrestleMania between the people that are in these matches now. And I think that is, like I said, a good thing. I think that gives them plenty of time to build up these stories and build these feuds and really make it feel like these people are fighting for a reason instead of just throwing them together and saying, okay, you got 2 weeks, let's make the best of it.
For sure.
I do think overall, like the show had definitely had some issues. There was a lot of just gaps in time where there weren't a lot of matches going on. I there was one thing I wrote down. I believe there was roughly around 30 minutes between the end of the Punk and Balor match before the start of the men's chamber match, and the only thing that happened in between there was the reveal of Danhausen debuting, which was great. But there was a lot of time in between there where it was just ads and snuff and filler that we could have gotten a 5 match card, I think, and that would have made it a lot more entertaining.
For sure. The last string of PLEs, like normal, from Elimination Chamber and the Rumble and then Survivor Series. Since we have like these really like long gimmick matches, they're all 4 match cards, and so there's definitely a lot of dead time because I feel like they want to hit that at least 3 hour mark for PLEs, and so there definitely is a lot of dead time. What about you, Glenn? How did you like Elimination Chamber as a whole?
First, who the hell's idea was it that we pay more money to watch these damn PLE pay-per-views, whatever, and we get less matches? Who
Yeah.
decided that? That makes no damn sense. And
It's
there's more
crazy.
wrestlers now than there ever been. There's more talent now than there's ever been. Why is there less matches? It makes no damn sense. But as far as Elimination Chamber, I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. And I'm not even BSing. Like, this was the best Elimination Chamber we had. And I think last year's Elimination Chamber was crazy, obviously. But,
Yeah.
like, this one was just, there wasn't one thing where I was like, ew, I don't like that. Everything, including Danhausen, I thought that was biblical. I don't understand the crybabies. What did you, just because it's not Jericho, it's bad? Like,
Yeah.
this is what we'll talk about it as we get into it. It was great. I actually loved it. And I haven't given a 9 out of 10 rating to any pay-per-view since the Attitude Era, maybe. So, like, this, I gave it a 9 out of 10 just to start off to let you know before we get into talking about why. But yeah, I loved it. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the women's, the men's, Danhausen debuting, even the Punk and Balor match. Everyone's like, you already knew what was gonna happen. If Did anyone watch the match? There was like 4 different times where I was like, holy crap, Finn could win this. And people are like,
Mhm.
no, that never happened. Bull crap. I actually believe that Finn could win it. And then the AJ Becky match, listen, it wasn't the greatest thing on earth, but it wasn't bad. And AJ wins, which I kind of leaned off of, so I kind of got a little bit shocked. I was okay with it, even though I wasn't before. Watching it and just thinking about it, I was like, okay, this result is good. We'll talk about it when we talk about this, stuff, whatever. But I liked it. I was happy with it, and I haven't been happy with many things in a long time. So if I like it, I mean, it has to be at least sort of good, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Right.
Yeah, one of my biggest I thought the wrestling part of it was great, but
Yeah.
the thing that was really lagging, which was surprising to me, was kind of the crowd. The crowd really seemed out of it, especially for a Chicago show.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked that it wasn't it wasn't a typical Chicago show, and it kind of took away from the whole vibe of the
Especially AJ. They didn't pop for AJ.
yeah
I know
like, at
he's not
all.
from Chicago, but like the prodigal son, CM Punk's wife's in the
Hmm.
damn ring, and
Yeah.
you give
Well,
her a
and
freaking like Trish Stratus mid reaction. Like what the hell?
yeah, and we talked about it a little bit too, but like if she really wanted to get that pop and if she really wants to, say, "Oh, Chicago's my second home," blah blah, at least while you're performing in Chicago,
Wear
have the
cup shoes and
announcer
something.
announce that you're from Chicago. don't
Yeah.
Yeah,
announce that
right.
you're from Jersey. You know what I mean? Like,
Or
even if it's
resides
just
in Chicago, something.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Just you got to add that little something in there because they'll pop more for just hearing the term Chicago than they will for anything AJ Lee related.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like they used to do that kind of thing for Logan when he first started, right? They would say like from Cleveland by way of whatever,
Puerto
you
Rico,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, they could have definitely done that for AJ, you know, from New Jersey by way of Chicago or the other way around,
Yeah.
whatever. It definitely would have helped, but yeah, even like it's just like I said, the crowd overall, like just kind of dead for most of the night.
I mean, and while we're on the topic of the crowd, the other thing that I really wanted to point out before we get into the matches too, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it once we got into the match itself, but it was so surprising to see how they reacted for Finn Balor. I mean,
Hmm.
Glenn made a good point in our chat. Like he was ready to get some John Cena ECW one night stand type heat. That's what a lot of people I think were expecting out of that Chicago crowd when he's
Yeah.
facing CM Punk. And his entrance starts, and within 10 seconds, they're doing his, little dance thing. Like,
Hmm.
it was kind of really cool to see because it's fun to see Finn Balor get over with the crowd again. But it was really crazy to see the Chicago crowd almost show support for the guy that was facing CM Punk.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see what the reaction would have been if he had won,
Yeah,
because I'm not so sure it would have
yeah,
been
yeah,
all negative.
right.
I want you to give me one thing WWE got right with the PLE and one thing that they kind of missed on, that a bigger opportunity that they missed.
I mean, I definitely think the men's chamber winner, Randy Orton, I think that was definitely the right choice for WWE because this can still lead them in so many directions. Like we talked about with them having so much time left before WrestleMania. We kind of talked about it on our prediction episode, but whoever won the chamber, this can still lead to Drew having a multi-man match. It doesn't just mean it's going to be Randy versus Drew. Obviously, we now know that we're going to have Drew versus Cody this Friday on SmackDown for the title, so champion could already change. But we still have Jacob Fatu waiting in the wings, who was told he just had to wait for his opportunity, but he was going to get one. Obviously, we still have Cody getting the chance this Friday. Drew could still be involved. I'm still leaning on the side of this ends up turning into a fatal four way, but hell, if it ends up being Randy versus Cody and we get something that way, I'm all for that as well.
For
What
sure.
they missed is, listen, look, right here, look. I could have been the ref in the AJ and Becky match because the ref always got to have an issue. I would have made it right down the middle, bras and panties all the way. But number two that I think they missed is, man, I know we both all said Javon Evans was going to be the first one eliminated. But, like, damn, after he got eliminated, did kind of, like, not
Yeah.
the excitement level, just, like, knowing that no one's gonna flip off the top of the damn cage and stuff like that. Like I would have liked to see him go a little bit longer, and that's nitpicking. Again, I gave it a 9 out of 10. I don't think there was anything majorly different they could have done that would have made me think it was 10 times better. Like I said, the only thing that would have been kind of crazy is if Danhausen was the one in the mask, but that would have made no sense for storylines. It would have just been kind of crazy. Yeah, I loved it, man. I don't have any. I don't think they missed the mark on anything without nitpicking, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, talk about Javon. Yeah, we'll talk more about it in a minute. But after Javon got out, I was expecting Logan to at least do something crazy.
Yeah. Logan always hits the crazy spots.
And he always has a crazy spot, especially in these type of matches. And you know,
To be
we
fair, he's
didn't
not
get
even
that.
supposed to be in the damn thing. They had to
Yeah.
come up
Yeah,
quick with something for him to do. It was like,
And I
yeah,
think
that's true.
with the way the vision has been, kind of falling like dominoes lately, I think they wanted to keep Logan as safe as they could for the time being.
right,
Got to
right.
wrap him in bubble wrap.
Especially with what ended up happening, because now we kind of have a WrestleMania storyline being built around him instead of
Hmm.
either Braun or Braun.
For sure. All right. Let's get into the non-chamber matches. Let's just start with AJ and Becky. How do y'all feel overall with this match? I I thought it was decent, and I think AJ showed enough to kind of prove that she can still go in the ring, especially in today's women's division. But I'm not sure if she showed enough to have a long-ish, more past WrestleMania reign with the title. But what do y'all think about the match?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I really don't think that AJ looked terrible. I do think, she can continue to show up a little bit more often, knock some of that rust off, and like she can catch up to speed with the women of today, I do believe. But I talked about it on the prediction episode a little bit, and I do still think that this isn't going to be a long title reign for AJ. I do believe we're kind of looking at setting up a multi-woman match here as well. And I know we've talked about that a lot, but it does really feel like the direction WWE is kind of going this year. They want to show off as much talent as they can. So I think if we get a multi-woman IC title match, that's an easy way to get it off of AJ without making her lose, without making her look weak in any way. So I do believe this is going to be a short stint, but I already like that they're right away next week they're having a number one contenders match for her, and
Mhm.
then hopefully after that we get a defense or two on Raw before we find out what's happening at WrestleMania.
If this
For sure.
match was even a 4 out of 5 star match, I would have gave the Elimination Chamber a 10. This is the match that kind of brought it down just a little bit, but it still was good. Like, I still gave it like a 3.25 out of 5, which for someone who hasn't wrestled in a while like AJ, that's still decent. I feel like Becky didn't do much either in terms of like she obviously knew she was losing and just kind of wanted. This was AJ's test, not Becky's. Becky didn't have to do anything. This was for AJ. And I originally was like, Becky kind of has to win to hold the belt at WrestleMania so that someone that's actually wrestled can have the, carry the belt at WrestleMania to make it more legitimate. But when AJ won, I was like, okay, you know what? Like, we can do something here. But like you guys said, she's not holding the belt to like SummerSlam or anything like that. Losing it at WrestleMania to Lyra or like anybody really, like you said, a nice fatal 4-way for that belt would be kind of crazy. I'll take anything. The match was okay. AJ winning was okay. I wish the crowd gave her a bigger pop so that it felt more like a really big moment. Because as of now, we're just like, all right, cool, she won. If that crowd went
Mhm.
crazy, we would have been like, damn, this is a moment. You know what I mean? We didn't
Yeah.
get that. The crowd didn't give it to us. Chicago usually gives that to us. We didn't get it. So that's the only thing I can really say is that it wasn't a 4 or 5 star match. The crowd wasn't 4 or 5 star at all during that match. But the match was okay. AJ showed the very bare minimum to get the belt, so they gave it to her. And now, hopefully, she uses the platform to build somebody else up at WrestleMania, and we'll see who that person is.
Yeah. The match was definitely great, like storyline wise, and building a story, but it lacked like the physical the physical part of the
The
match.
wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, the actual wrestling of it. And we obviously continue the kind of back and forth with Jessica Carr and Becky now. We know Jessica Carr is kind of in WWE's developmental program. It kind of seems to me that we're eventually going to be getting Becky versus Jessica Carr. I mean, I'm just saying.
She is a
You
wrestler
know
in another
what? I
show,
mean, she
so
definitely looks like she could go in the ring, and if she's right, and she's clearly been training and putting in the work, like I'm willing to see it. They're bringing up a bunch of new referees lately. Maybe they're prepping people to take her spot and get her in the women's division as well.
Yeah, Becky's Twitter. I don't know if y'all like pay attention to her Twitter, but it's great. Every day is something new and entertaining. I'm loving Becky's character at the moment. Do y'all think AJ winning was the right call? Glenn kind of touched on it. He thought Becky should have the belt going into Mania, but I don't. We kind of thought in our review preview episode. I kind of said that we all kind of said we were 50-50, right? And I said I did have AJ winning, but I also said that Becky probably should win. Yeah, I don't. I still don't know if it was the right call or not. I don't really think it's that big of a deal either way.
we won't know till WrestleMania, honestly.
I think with the name recognition that both of these women have, I think either one holding the belt going into WrestleMania, building up to a WrestleMania match, that's probably going to involve the both of them again anyways. Like whether it is does just end up being the two of them or does end up being a multi-woman match, I think that both of them will be in said match. So whichever one of them holds the title, they're kind of the same level of name at this point. Becky's with the more recent fans, AJ's with the older fans. But whoever you have holding that title leading into that WrestleMania feud, like I don't think it really would have made a huge difference either way.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they've been trying to bring up a young talent with this title, and it just hasn't really worked. They did it with Maxine, and they tried Lyra. I mean, they put Lyra with Becky and Bailey, and she still couldn't get over. So I think somehow in my mind, it seems like having AJ with the title is going to make it an easier time for an up and comer to get over. I don't know if that's true in reality, but in my mind, it kind of makes it seem like it'll be easier for a new talent to get over with AJ.
I mean, it does feel like a lot of the times the newcomers have a harder time getting over with the older crowd, anyways. So we'll see if they put on a really good showing against someone like AJ Lee, who is so over with the older crowd. Maybe they'll be like, "Wow, like they put on a really good show to beat AJ." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you're right. Maybe that will help out that situation.
All right. Let's move on to the next non-chamber match. Obviously, was Punk and Finn for the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought this match was great. And like Glenn talked about earlier, for like 95% of the match, I had a legit thought that Finn was going to win. I really enjoyed my time while I thought that Finn was going to win. Even though I am a huge Punk fan, I was really looking forward to a potential Finn championship win in Chicago. How do y'all feel about the match?
I agree. I thought it was great. Like it was I do believe it was a great match. There is still a part of me that thinks it might have been a step below their match in Dublin. I do think that match was still just, and maybe it's recency bias. Well, I guess not recency bias because Chamber is more recent than Ireland was. But there's something just in my memory bank that says that Ireland match was just a little bit better. And maybe it's because it was their first time facing off or whatever the case may be there. But I do still think this was a great match. I do still think it was very entertaining, both the wrestling, the story leading up to it. And like I agree with you guys as well. I think there were multiple times where you really did feel like Finn was going to mess up all the WrestleMania plans and win this title.
I think ours worded just a little better. Maybe we didn't like 100% believe he was gonna win, but we at least we got the moment where it was like he could. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
everyone was kind of just like, oh, it's 100% a foregone conclusion. They already got banners up of Roman and Punk already there. There were still times where Finn was gonna do the coup de grace, or whatever. Before, by the way, that reversal to end it was crazy. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
putting the that was crazy. That was a very good ending, I will say. But there were times where I still was like, "Yo, Finn could actually still win this." Like, and I was kind of just thinking in my mind, like, "Okay, if he does win, is it gonna be a triple threat? Is
Yeah.
like, are they gonna go to a fatal four? I don't know what the hell. I honestly didn't know. There was like in the middle of the match, I was like, if Finn wins this, the loop is crazy. Is the crowd gonna boo like crazy? Are they gonna cheer like Nick said? It would have been really interesting to see what would have happened. The right business move, of course, is to keep Roman versus Punk, and that's what they
Yeah.
did. I was happy just to even have that little bit of doubt, though, because
Mhm.
WWE, like I said, has been so predictable. And even though we got the predictable outcome, it wasn't the predictable 100% way that Punk was going to win the entire time. So I am happy
Yeah.
with it. I thought it was a great match. Not a 5-star match or anything like that, but a good match. I give it like a 4. It was pretty good. Just for the one in Dublin, whatever, was a 4.5. It was really good. It was a little bit better, but that was more so because they were allowed to wrestle. They were
Yeah.
allowed to give you a different vision in your head. This one had to be the way it was. We were just lucky to get moments where Finn could have actually won the match. So
Mhm.
I'll take what we got. It was good. By the way, I know they were in Chicago. If I ever see Punk come out to Michael Jordan music again, I'm gonna lose my damn mind. Don't ever do it again. Anyway, still good. I liked it. That entrance, that like a lot of people didn't know what the hell the music was too. I was
Yeah.
shocked. Like,
Yeah, a lot of people complained about it because they just didn't know what it was.
yeah, like Jesus, we got too many youngins in this thing. How you don't know the Jordan era? Honestly, I even said like it was Mark Messier coming into Madison Square Garden because he played the same song when he made the guarantee that they were going to win the cup. So like, yeah, it was everything was good about it. I liked it, and I wish Finn would have won though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Uh, Listen, we basically touched on all of it. It was a good match. Punk winning was obviously the right call, just because of the WrestleMania plans. But what a moment it would have been if Finn did win. What a moment it would have been. You know, Triple H talks about how wrestling is all about. It's just a series of moments, and this kind of seems like it would have been a big moment to capitalize on. But obviously, we understand why they couldn't. What do we feel like the direction is for Finn now after this? Obviously now that we saw Raw this week, and he kind of maybe sort of made Dom drop the title. Obviously it didn't help him, but where do we feel like Finn's going from here?
I mean, he's definitely got the good guy shtick going. After the Punk match, once
Yeah,
again, he went and shook his hand, really made sure that he was, showing his appreciation to Punk and everything. And then again on Monday night, where he took the hammer away from JD, didn't allow Dom to use it, set up himself and JD to get attacked, and then Dom to lose the match and the title. So I don't know if it's now a feud with Dom or with JD. Like, I'm still all for it. I'm still very interested in seeing that and seeing the Judgment Day finally possibly split up. But I am of the fact that I do think it would have meant a little more with maybe the IC title involved, and then Finn
hmm
being able to carry that afterwards. It may be a step down from the world title, but I still think him having a title leaving the Judgment Day would have been a great call.
for sure.
I know people are probably gonna get sick of me saying this and always throwing triple threats and fatal four ways out there. But again, coming from the old school, every WrestleMania, every big match had triple threats and fatal four ways, and that's what like sold pay per
Yeah,
views. It was like I get to come, I'm gonna pay all this money. I get to watch all the wrestlers I like in one. They can easily have some kind of storyline where the breakup of the Judgment Day happens. Dom comes up on Raw next week and it's just like, I want a rematch because people cost me the belts, and then they come in and cost them again. And JD like comes in and all of a sudden is pissed off at Dom for whatever reason, and then they all big kind of fighting, and all three of them have this fight, and then Penta's like, well, I have the belt, let's fight, and then they have a fatal four
Yeah.
for the belt, or even a triple threat if one of them gets hurt, whatever the case may be. I'd see this as Dom, Finn, and Penta with JD something of fighting for the Intercontinental belt at WrestleMania, and that would be great. That to me, that would be a
I'll
Mhm.
fantastic match for sure.
I'll take JD
For
in the
sure.
match too. Just make it a fatal four way because I mean I don't
He's
think
great.
anybody would believe that he's going to win, but he's going to give you the spot.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting to see because we've talked about it a bunch, but they've been teasing Judgment Day breaking up for so long, and it's like that part of the Judgment. I mean, Judgment Day overall, I think is kind of stale and has been for quite a while, and
Since Rhea
so
left.
if yeah, really. Uh, So if they can actually move towards the Judgment Day actually breaking up, and especially Finn being, having a face turn out of it, and then fighting at WrestleMania, like I think that is the best path forward for really all of them, including Penta with the title. Shout out Penta, new IC champion.
Of all
Great
time.
That was
call.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really awesome to see that. I saw he's the first Mexican-born wrestler to be Intercontinental Champion, so
that's
that's pretty
crazy.
cool.
Eddie
Yeah,
Guerrero
it doesn't
wasn't.
sound right.
Eddie never won it.
I don't know. I saw WWE post it. So
That's probably right then.
Yeah, I mean they'll give all the credit to Eddie if they can. Like they won't
yeah,
bring up redacted, but they'll bring up Eddie every chance they can. So like if he won the IC title, they would have
yeah,
said it.
I
yeah.
think it's because Ray
But
Ray
yeah, so
won
that's
it, but
cool.
he was born in San Diego, and I think Eddie was also born in
Yeah.
America too. So that's probably
Oh, that
why.
would
He,
yeah, that would make sense.
yeah. But yeah, so the IC title picture for WrestleMania definitely heated up over the past, over this weekend. All right, before we go talk into the Chambers match, let's talk about the Danhausen of it all and his debut. Obviously, they open Pearson, Aldis open the crate, and the dancers come out, and Danhausen comes out and to a not a great
Yeah,
reaction by the crowd, which I think is mostly just disappointment that it wasn't something bigger.
100%.
Because they built up this box storyline for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and for it to be someone like Danhausen, who probably most of the crowd doesn't know, could be a little disappointing. But I think you both like and love Danhausen.
Yeah, I mean, I have liked what I've seen of him a lot. I'm not the biggest watcher of AEW, so I don't know all of his work or anything like that, but I do know of him. I've seen a lot of clips of him. I've seen a lot of highlight stuff of him, a lot of his comedic work that he's done. I think the way they did it was great, and I think we were kind of the opposite. I think had our expectations so low for this crate. We were ready for them to
Mm,
have it be a 2K promotional item for
yeah,
the new game that's coming out this week. And so
I
I think
was
to just have
convinced
it
it was going to be that.
I think for us, and I think for a good chunk of other people as well, just to have it be anybody was great. Now, obviously, you're going to
Mhm.
have that chunk of crowd that, oh no, it's not Chris Jericho. Oh, it's not Bianca Belair. Oh no, I'm upset. But having it be Danhausen, I'm excited for what he's going to be able to do in WWE.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll try to be fair to the people that were there, not just because it wasn't Jericho or Bianca, whoever. A lot of them don't know who that is, and I get it. He hasn't even been on AEW TV for like a year and a half. So even if you like started watching AEW last year, you wouldn't know who that was. But if you were watching 3, 4 years ago, this man outsold every single wrestler on the AEW roster. T-shirt sales, every merchandise sales. That's why he's here. He's a comedic act. He's gonna sell you a lot of T-shirts. He's gonna, he's gonna pound all the kids. He's gonna take pictures. He's not here to, he's not gonna challenge Mello for the championship tomorrow or whatever. What is it? The kids line? Listen,
He
okay.
said he's gonna pound all the
Hold on, hold
kids.
on, hold on, hold on. Let's reword that. Let's reword that. Okay, let's reword that. Even though he came out of a coffin, that's not what I meant. Okay, so he's a people person. There we go. That's the way I can say it
Uh,
without. There we go. Yeah, they're gonna take pictures with him. He's gonna be backstage maybe with R-Truth, maybe with Otis. He's gonna be like there, and he's gonna just make everyone laugh, and he's gonna sell T-shirts, and maybe once in a while put on a pretty good wrestling match because he actually can wrestle. By the way, I know that's gonna be a shock to a lot of people, but before he came into WWE, he was putting on some indie matches, and he was wrestling really well. if anyone watched what's his name? SVV, what is his name?
Chris Van Vliet.
Chris Van Vliet, he had a podcast with him that if you watch that, you'll know everything you need to know about him. He actually had the face mask before Sting. He trademarked it before Sting had the mask on. That's how deep and far back he goes. So you guys got to learn about him. You guys got to give him a chance. For everyone that doesn't know him, and I'm telling you, within 4 months, he's gonna have like the Fandango dun. He's something. You're gonna be chanting his song. He's gonna be having things with maybe even Nick's boy Kit Wilson. Like he's gonna do all that comedic stuff. It's gonna be great. Give him a chance, and I promise you, you're gonna like him. So I was happy to see him, and the booing I understand because it's not anything crazy, but WWE and AEW are obviously rivals, and they have to try to one up each other. So they made this that big of a deal just to shove it down Tony Khan's throat. That's kind of what this was all about,
No.
honestly. So I'm okay with it. I liked it. He won't pound
Yeah,
cake.
his shirt's already the top seller.
Yeah.
His
Before
shirt's
Raw
already
even
the top
started,
seller on WWE Shop.
within
Yeah,
48
In
hours,
2
before
he had the
Raw,
days.
top.
like just after
Yeah,
his.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Within 48 hours, he had the top shirt.
yeah. So I didn't know much about him. Like I had known, like I know of him, but I didn't know like anything. I didn't know he was a comedy act, before he debuted. And I started looking him up. But he seems hilarious to me. And hey, he cursed Dom, and Dom lost his
And
title,
Dom lost.
right? I mean, so he holds some real power there. Very nice, very evil.
Very
We got
nice.
to see how we got to see how Pierce handles his demand housings. He already got the Triple H pointing
He did.
picture.
He did.
So
Yeah, he
now
did get the picture. Now,
we just got
now
to
we
see
need
if
his
they put him in the Hall of Fame by the end of the year.
and his face on all the production trucks.
Yeah, yeah, and his own personal camera boy. Yeah, I mean, people are overthinking it. Like wrestling is supposed to be fun, and that's what Danhausen seems to be, right? Like people, like we've gotten and it's partly WWE's fault because they've been focusing on long term storytelling. So everything has to be a good story now, and nothing can just be
Yeah,
fun anymore. But that's what wrestling is supposed to be. It's just
and
supposed to be fun.
WWE doesn't. Like a lot of their comedic acts, like R-Truth. Yes, he still can go in the ring, but he's not a believable guy to go out there and like win a title or do anything serious or whatever. And like maybe Danhausen's not
Mm,
either. But like Glenn said, like Danhausen truly can wrestle. He truly can go in
yeah,
the ring with a lot of different guys of all different wrestling varieties. And so I think with him to be able to mix the comedic act, which is going to keep people entertained, and then to be able to go out and also wrestle and keep people entertained while he's in the ring and not just be a joke in the ring that's getting smashed week after week. I think that'll
mm,
up his ante with the fans as well.
for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where Danhausen goes from here. All right. Let's move on to the women's Elimination Chamber match. All right. So Tiffy and Kiana start the match, which I think we all kind of said something along those lines. I think these were the best two options to start the match. How do you feel how we went from there? Like I think Kiana had a good showing like we thought she would. Maybe not as strong of a showing as maybe we thought she would, but still good. What are your thoughts about how the match started and how we went from there?
No, I thought it was really good. I mean, I do think Kiana still had a really, another really strong showing, and obviously, obviously it was with the help of Asuka and her miss, but she can now add another like really big name woman to her list of people that she's pinned already. She pinned Charlotte. She had a great showing in the Rumble. Now she pinned Alexa Bliss inside the Chamber. And I think,
Yeah.
just being able to continue to add to her resume is going to continue to help her. Maybe leading into WrestleMania here is where we finally get to see the breakup of her and Julia, because I think Kiana's over enough now, even with the crowd already, to where you could just have those two go one on one, make it in a really early match, or make it just the SmackDown right before WrestleMania, and have her take the U.S. title from Julia. And I think that's where you get, okay, here's more young talent coming in and doing something there. But with the
Mhm.
chamber itself, I mean, Kiana, Tiffy obviously was a great start. You allow Kiana to really show off with someone like Tiffy, who is very similar. They're very similar wrestlers. They have very similar styles. They can go very well in the ring together. And I think the way the women came out after that was just fine. I don't really have any problems. I think Raquel coming out last, especially with the way they've been treating her, just being the powerhouse and being able to just really display that and kind of destroy everybody coming right out of that chamber. I think it was a good sequence of events all throughout the match.
For sure. What about you, Glenn?
I'm kind of all right. I just want to talk about the women's chamber match in general, not just the Kiana thing to start. For whatever reason, everyone, I should say in the IWC, all the wrestle tubers and TikTok wrestling people are now so preconditioned to always say the women's stuff is better than the men's now because it's just been kind of shoved down your throat that they've been performing better. And I'm not saying they're wrong, but to say that this women's chamber was better than the men's because LA Knight had a botch is crazy to me. The men's one had so much in it, and the women's one just kind of went status quo, in my opinion. And I'm cool with that. I thought it was great. I won't say, like everyone else, that this women's chamber was better than the men's just because everyone just keeps saying the women's is better than the men's every year now. And that's not true to me, at least to me. I like this. I love the women's chamber match. I thought it was great. But we all knew Rhea was gonna win. We all knew Kiana was gonna have a good showing. We all knew basically everything that was gonna happen. We knew it was gonna happen already. So to me, this was predictable. It was status quo. It was everything that was supposed to happen happened. I'm happy with it. We're all happy with it. It was a good match, but nothing super spectacular happened where I'm gonna remember this in 10 years from now. So great match. Like I said, I gave it a 9 out of 10 for the whole thing. I thought it was great, but nothing crazy happened. Let's just be real here. Nothing insane happened, and the right person won for Jade because the only one believable enough for Jade right now is Rhea, honestly. Besides of Charlotte, which me and David kind of had just thrown in magically, which was going to be tough to happen in the first place, but didn't happen obviously. But how does Alexa just keep taking L after L after L after L? Like what? When is she going to get her time again? She ever since she's come back, she just loses, except for when she was in a tag team with Charlotte, which is basically just so that people stop booing Charlotte. It wasn't even for Alexa, really. So I'm kind of disappointed that Alexa's not getting her love, because when she came back, I was like, she's gonna get the belts kind of immediately, because that's what she did when she was wrestling before. She won the belt like 4 times before she left. I don't know. It's just I'm a little disappointed. Like, and Asuka kind of had an okay match, but like I don't know. I'm not disappointed in the result because we knew Rhea had to win for Jade, but I was kind of hoping there was different circumstances where, like, if this wasn't to face Jade, I would be disappointed. But because it's the business move for Rhea to win, we have to accept it. But Raquel too losing is like, yeah, Raquel looked kind of strong. She threw them through the cage, or I meant like the plastic barrier or whatever. We didn't even get that in the men's one. So that one thing was better, is that we got to see someone get destructed. But I don't think she looked super strong either. Like, she had a couple moments, but she lost. And what I mean, unless she gets thrown into the match somehow, I don't see really where you go until after WrestleMania now with Raquel. So I got some questions about it. You guys can we can talk about it. Once you guys talk about it. But yeah, I wasn't as impressed as everybody else, but it was still very good. I'll say that.
No, that
You
is.
know,
I was gonna say that is something that I made note of. Like, it does feel like Raquel is left the most directionless after. I mean, not even just out of the women's match, but out of the whole night. I mean, she's now. It seems like she's no longer going to be part of this Liv and Stephanie match. She's obviously not going to be facing Jade. We talked about the Judgment Day breakup a lot earlier. Maybe the guys fighting and going at it will end up making Raquel and Liv go at it. Obviously, Roxanne's not involved at the time at this time. So maybe we'd still see Raquel get involved in the Stephanie Liv match, like Glenn mentioned. But it really does, I know she's in, like we said, we watched Raw last night. She's in the number one contenders match for the Intercontinental title, but that just doesn't feel like something that she can just head on and be like, all right, this is what I'm going to do now. Like, she was right in the middle of
mhm.
the world heavyweight picture, right, kind of face to face with Jade a couple times. Like, she was ready for this step, and now it doesn't feel like she has a step to go on.
For sure. Yeah, her being in that number one contender for the IC title feels kind of like, I don't know, it just like cheapens everything that they've kind of built with her over the last few months.
Yep.
Like they've been building her up, and she has improved so much. And for her to be going and literally, 2 days before Raw, fighting for a chance to fight, the WWE champion, to being in a number one contenders match for the mid card belt, like, what are we doing here? I mean, I kind of disagree with Glenn. Like, we all thought Raquel was going to win. Like, obviously Rhea is Rhea, but I mean, we all picked Raquel. So,
I didn't pick Raquel.
like, yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. First of all, I picked Charlotte to win because I thought she was gonna enter. And said if Charlotte doesn't win, Rhea is gonna win.
Oh, yeah, yeah. All right. Me and David picked Raquel.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like, I mean, I thought Raquel had a good like actual shot to win. So I was actually pretty surprised when Rhea ended up actually winning. But obviously, you can't argue against Rhea winning because she's Rhea Ripley. So I'm not mad at Rhea winning, but like you said, Raquel definitely lost like the most
Mojo.
out of this match.
Yeah.
And then, like, as far as Alexa goes, like, I think she's kind of like in the same spot that like Bailey's in right now. Like, she doesn't losing doesn't hurt her, and but losing helps build more people than it hurts her because
Yeah.
So I think she's kind of like in the same situation as Bailey, where like she doesn't have to win because she is who she is, even with losing, in my opinion. Let's talk about Rhea. Obviously, she wins. I will say, she's still getting as big of a pop as ever. I watched Elimination Chamber in a movie theater, and they popped for Rhea louder than anything else that happened during the whole PLE. So it's obviously the right business decision. And like Glenn said, to face Jade Cargill, it has to be somebody like Rhea, right? How you feeling about Rhea winning specifically? I mean, obviously, like I said, it's Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the name. It's not just the number one female on the roster. It might be the number one superstar on the roster altogether in terms of, over with the crowd and fans that just love her to death. You know what I mean? Bria is the number one, and you got to put her in a premier match against a premier person, and she is one of the only believable people who can beat someone like Jade. If you're going to have Jade go down, if you want to put the title on Rhea, even if you don't want to put the title on Rhea, having Jade beat Rhea put such a big notch in Jade's belt. Now the crowd kind of just has to either say, "Hey, we hate you for beating Rhea," or "Hey, we respect you because you beat Rhea." How
For
many
sure.
times can
Yeah,
I say Rhea?
I just
like
said Rhea so many times.
like David said, maybe next to Cody Rhodes, if not right there. She is the biggest star in the company. She still gets the biggest pop in the company. She still sells the same amount of shirts as everyone else in the company, if not more. Her song still puts everybody out of their chairs in the company. She's got to have a role for the belt at WrestleMania. You have no choice, honestly. So everything about it made sense. Like I said, when we were doing the predictions, it was after the fact that they lost the tag team belts. So we were like, well, we don't really have a choice now, right? Because now that they don't have the tag team belts, Rhea's winning now. Like that's when we knew. But I'll say beforehand, I probably would have gave it to Raquel as well. But because Rhea and them lost the belts, the tag belts, I was like, yeah, this is what's gonna happen. And now they're like beefing on Twitter just to talk about Raw a little bit after Raw a little bit. I think again, this is what was gonna happen anyway. I don't think they're actually fighting, but I do think even if you like script some fighting, there's truth in it. Roman and Punk right now, just to throw a little thing, they're actually like I think they respect and like each other, but there's some real shit going on that like just like Tiffany and Charlotte when they were fighting and stuff like that, they really really like each other, but they threw a little bit of they threw a little bit of real shit in there. That's what's gonna happen with Jade. A lot of people are gonna say a lot of things that they've been holding in that are actually true, even though they like respect her, they'll eat and have dinner together. But there's kind of had this thing where she hasn't had to wrestle. She's had the belt for so long. She came in as this big, strong, tough woman and like never got tested yet. So like they're pissed off about it because they want that opportunity. So there's gonna be some things going on, and everyone's gonna be on Rhea's side. We'll talk about it when we do WrestleMania predictions and stuff like that. But I think Jade beats Rhea, by the way. And then yeah, I think this is perfect. So as far as how I feel about Rhea winning, the right choice, and it's gonna help build Jade in the long run because that's obviously what WWE wants to do.
Yeah. And talking about their interactions on Twitter, like I know, obviously it's their job, but it feels real to me, right? Like,
There's some
you know,
realness for sure.
and then like it's not only Rhea, like Jade was going or Chelsea was going after Jade
Why
and going back and
Piper?
forth with her. Piper was going after
Yeah,
Why Piper?
her. She got to protect Chelsea.
yeah,
Yeah, true.
But I mean, like it feels real. And then like even off of Twitter, like Rhea posted an Instagram story, talking about basically saying it was unprofessional what Jade did. Like, so like I don't know, it feels real to me, and it feels like Jade might not be as well liked in the locker room, but I might be getting worked.
No, like, it's a little bit of
we're
both,
always
though.
getting
It's
work.
really a little bit of both. I do think there's some animosity towards her because of how she came in and just got given everything. And I do think there is some anger there. But at the same time, these women know that if Jade can produce, it's more money in their pockets as well. So it's always like a give and take. There's some anger. I know there's some animosity, but they're going to, just like everything else, just like Rollins and Punk are best friends, but they're going to sell it like they hate each other. This is what's gonna happen. Rhea and Jade are gonna have a really good build up for WrestleMania, and we need it too.
For sure. One person I want to talk about in this match, like, is Tiffy. Like, 'cause she looked good, like always. Like, she looked good, had good, great spots, and I think the most entertaining part of the match was when it was the last three with her, Raquel, and Rhea. But where do y'all think she goes from here? I mean, she went from having a long title reign and then losing to Jade and then taking a couple months off and then now losing in the Chamber. Where does she go from here? Like, like it has to be something meaningful. Because she is the main eventer, so it has to be something meaningful, even though she's not going to be fighting for the title.
She is the other one, like kind of just a slight step behind Raquel of like losing a lot of momentum after losing this match because like you said, like where does she go from here? All the titles are kind of spoken for unless she also is the one that takes a step back and does something like go after the US title, which just for someone like Tiffy doesn't really make sense unless they want to start doing something like women's Grand Slam champions and they want to put her into that conversation. Like it just having her win the title at Mania can help that put that title way more over than it's ever been at this point. Because
Hmm.
even with Chelsea Green and Julia and Zelina, like the belt has not been able to get over like the IC title now has with Becky and AJ and the way it has on Raw. So maybe Tiffy does take that step back and she ends up winning the US title or something. But yeah, she also just a lot like Raquel feels directionless leading into WrestleMania.
Yeah, I will say, like, if Tiffy does end up going after the United States Championship, for me, like, it doesn't feel as big of a step back as Raquel because she has held the world title.
Yeah,
She has been at the top, so it's not like Raquel, where like, they've been building her up and building her up and building her up and never actually gave it to her. Whereas, like, we
yeah.
know Tiffy can be at the top, and she's just like choosing to go down and go for the U.S. title. So I don't. For me, it doesn't like if that does end up happening, it doesn't feel like as big of a step back as Raquel going for the IC title. What about you, Glenn? Where do you think Tiffy goes from here?
I don't know. I'm one of the few people that I'm not. I'm not a big Tiffy person in terms of like. I think she's very good in the ring. That's as far as my like Tiffy reaction goes, though. I don't. I've never bought into the whole Barbie thing with her. I've never bought into the whole like it's Tiffy time thing. Like I just, it's kind of just been lost on me. I don't see her like not to disrespect her because obviously she's done magnificent things, but I'm someone that's perfectly fine with her not being in the title picture because when she is the champion, we kind of get the it's Tiffy time thing and then a half decent match and that's kind of it. I want to see other people in that spot and with her, I do think her winning the U.S. title or something like that would be fantastic for the company, for her, for the belt itself. So winning that would be where I see her going because that's where you can still have her face with the belts, with the gold, and she still has the fans and all that, still selling t-shirts and all that. Again, the problem is with Jade being champion, there's not many believable things. Until Bianca comes back, which I guess maybe she did have this, I don't know until Bianca actually does come back and wins that belt, you can't have many people going against Jade. It's just like there's no one believable. Not even Tiffy. They've already done that before. So when Bianca does come back and gets the belt, or maybe Rhea wins or whatever, then we can have a bunch of different matches, a bunch of different people fighting for the belt. But as of right now, you put Tiffy in the United States Championship match. That's why I guess Raquel is there. Like that's where we're at right now. Not everyone can have a belt. Not everyone can fight for a belt. Some people have to be just the mid card. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have people there. So I guess that's where she is for right now. We'll see if she can win that U.S. belt though.
Yeah. I think talking about Tiffy's like character, like I do think it needs tweaking. Like I don't think it needs like to be completely overhauled and changed, but it definitely needs to be a little more like raw and real and not so much Barbie
Did we start to see that though at the chamber? I mean, it was definitely a not typical Tiffy look at the chamber,
for
and
sure.
a lot of
Yeah.
people really liked it. I've seen a lot of really positive reviews on the difference in attire, in hair,
Hmm.
in just the way that she presented herself was very different than normal
Yeah,
Tiffy, Barbie, Tiffany Stratton. It was very
for
different,
sure.
and even if it's just an attire and kind of look change, I think even just something that small could help her out a lot.
Yeah, maybe we end up getting a heel Tiffy.
I'll take that.
Y'all watch NXT more than I do. Like she was a heel in NXT, right? I've seen people talk about that.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
she was
And it
both.
was
She
pretty good.
wasn't. She wasn't
Oh
a
yeah.
great heel, but she was a heel. Yeah.
But I mean, maybe we get a heel turn out of Tiffy soon. Let's move on to the men's chamber match. I agree and disagree at the same time with you, Glenn. Like I kind of think both chamber matches were like equally good. I think the men's match kind of lacked what we all wanted it to be, but it was still really good. Obviously, we start with Javon and Cody, and I think this was the best two to start with. They're kind of, not like completely opposite styles, but definitely not congruent styles. So I thought they worked together well in the time that they had, and then Cody really helped make Javon look strong. Anyway, so we started with Javon and Cody. How do y'all feel about where we went from there? From where we started.
Yeah, I mean, Javon and Cody, you're right. Like that was a really good starting point. I think Cody did help, elevate Javon and show him where he was going from there. And then, just the sequence of events afterwards, I think like just all kind of made sense. Like we all said Randy was going to come out last. I think Randy coming out last made the most sense. You don't want him in the match a long time. You don't want to risk the old guy getting hurt. Like and especially now with him winning, like he's kind of one of your centerpieces in a WrestleMania storyline now. So you need to keep him healthy, and I think like we've been saying, overall the match was really good. I think it had its fair amount of spots. I think they allowed Logan to look really strong, even when he clearly wasn't the guy that was supposed to be in the match at all. Like I think that spot would have been much better built for Braun or Bronson. Logan looked good in the time that he did have, even without hitting all of his crazy spots like he usually does.
We'll start from scratch here for me. So yeah, a lot of things happen in this. Like I said, this is the reason I'll say that the men's was better than the women's. I got everything I wanted, So maybe this is just me being selfish, but listen, the Trick Williams entrance, dude. Everyone says, "Oh, he didn't get to show enough in the match." It doesn't matter because him coming into the ring, the crowd went crazy for literally 10 minutes. He was on the cage, each cage, everyone going crazy the entire time. Whoop that Trick the entire time. He got the hero's welcome in Chicago. We got what we needed to see from Trick Williams, man. We got everyone knows. Like, there's nothing he could have done in that match where we'd be like, damn, this guy can really go in there. We know that already. He got the crowd reaction, which is the number one thing you need to get over in this business. And Trick Williams is already at the top there right now. So I loved it. Kevon Evans obviously kind of had to be the first one out. We all said it. We predicted that much. And that's what happened. And he still looked good. Cody Rhodes and him in the beginning looked great. He still got to do his little flips and stuff like that. We saw everything we needed to see from him. So even though we didn't get the longevity we might have wanted, we still got enough where I'm satisfied with it. Then you had again Seth Rollins coming in and then the fake one coming in and then freaking we had the LA Knight botch, which Jesus Christ, LA Knight, what the I just but again, seeing Logan Paul eliminating 3 people looking real damn strong, even though it was in the Logan Paul type of sneaky conniving way, not the way where he looks so dominant, but still that's what Logan Paul is, a sneaky little snake wrestler type person, and he got 3 eliminations, looked fantastic doing it. Trey got the big pop, dude. Evans looked good. Cody lost. Orton won. We got Seth Rollins unmasked coming in. I got everything I wanted in that match, man. It was great, fantastic. Everyone thought Cody was gonna win that match. To see Orton win that match, the best. Literally, just the best. And we're still gonna get Cody in a championship match at WrestleMania. We already know that.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm cool with it. Cody needs to be there. But I'm glad we got Orton in there now for sure. I could not be any more happy with anything in this match. Like literally the perfect match. I just wish LA Knight had a better showing. That's the only little thing. And he did it to himself. WWE couldn't do nothing about it. He fucking tripped off the Jesus. And then he
Well,
got
and you,
low blowed. Oh
yeah,
my god.
that's exactly where I was going. I mean, what a terrible sequence of events it was for him, especially right at the end of what was already a, kind of a lackluster performance by him. He falls off the rope, he gets low blowed, and then he gets rolled up, which I think all 3 of us are way over the damn roll ups for
Yeah.
eliminations and pins and victories and all this stuff. But he falls off the rope. He hits a jumping elbow instead. Logan hits him in the no spot and rolls him up, and he's done. That wasn't even a typical LA Knight showing for a match like this because typically WWE wants
Yeah.
to give you that hope and that, like, oh my gosh, LA Knight might finally get there. And this match, they said,
He got
nope.
punished.
I think that hopefully this ends like the Triple H just doesn't want to push him. Like bro just doesn't help himself out. We saw it in Unreal with the Money in the Bank last year, and then now this. Like they put him in these big spots, and then he just can't deliver in them. So I mean, as much as I want LA Knight to get pushed, it just he
And then
just
he's
doesn't
driving the
have it.
ambulance on Raw. with Jimmy Uso. Like what the? And everybody in the comments is like, "Oh, Davy's gonna crash the ambulance. He's gonna botch the ambulance drive." Like Jesus Christ, that's what you did to yourself.
I will say him driving the ambulance on Raw was one of the funniest things that I've
It
Yeah,
got
seen
a really
in a
big pop, I
while.
will say. Yeah.
yeah.
It was hilarious. Before we dive in on Seth, let's just talk more about Randy winning and how that. Obviously, we get Drew coming in and attacking Cody, and then
Oh yeah, that's another
Randy
thing, bro.
RK.
It had every this is the best elimination chamber we've got since the one in Spain, bro. Like this, I don't know. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment. This was so good. Like what was
It was
that?
good.
It was
It was
great.
good
Like
for
we
sure.
got everything we wanted.
Yeah. And so obviously, like David and I picked Randy to win. So this is what we wanted, and we got it. I'm actually shocked that we actually got a Randy Orton Elimination Chamber win. And those two RKO's on Drew and Cody were two of the cleanest RKO's that
The
we've
Cody
had
one was
in a long
crisp.
time.
Yeah,
Like the Drew
yeah.
one, he was like floating in air for like a minute, I swear. And then the Cody one, like they both turned at the same time. Like
Just
they were
perfect.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were clean.
And
And then
and there was always all that talk about, while we're on the Cody RKO, like there was always all this talk about Cody not being able to seize the moment and take advantage, especially when he's
mhm,
facing people who are considered his friends. And Randy hit Drew with the RKO, Cody hit Drew with the Crossroads, and coming right up out of it, Randy hits Cody with that crisp, clean
yeah,
RKO. He didn't have even a second thought. There was no pan to the camera to look around. There was no nothing. It was I'm hitting Cody with his RKO. 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
Randy Orton is going to WrestleMania.
yeah. And like it was just that whole sequence of events to end it was great. It was
Yeah, I
perfect
agree.
in my mind. Um, and then so Aleister Black has been kind of obviously been getting into Randy's head. I mean, because the Randy of the last few years probably would have hesitated
Yeah,
and not
especially with
really,
Cody. Especially with Cody.
especially with Cody. So maybe Aleister Black, has successfully brought back, maybe not the Legend Killer, but the Randy
The
Orton of
Viper.
old. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Viper is back, and which is great, obviously. And then we'll probably, I assume we all think that Cody's going to win on Friday, and it's going to be some version of Randy and Cody at WrestleMania.
I don't.
Which I
So
mean,
I
I
don't think
know.
Cody wins.
Yeah.
Not clean, and I don't. So I think there's going to be interference, and it's going to be Fatu obviously interfering. And I feel like
hmm
all this is just going to be so sick and tired of it all. He's going to be like, I'm so blah, blah, tired of this. So you're all in the goddamn match now. And all four of them are going to be in the match. Because
yeah,
you have to listen, as much as I said Drew isn't a seller, he's done such a great job at everything he's done. You can't just take him out of the damn match. So
Yeah.
put all four of them in, give us a fatal four way, go back old school. If that's the only one we get after the 400th I've predicted, I'm good with it. I'll be
Yeah.
cool with it because
This is the one that
this is
makes
the
the
one that
most
makes the
sense.
most sense because they've all
yeah,
just been
yeah.
involved. So give me this as a fatal four way, and we'll be so damn happy.
So you think Drew still goes into Mania as champ?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think he deserves that honor.
Yeah,
No,
I would agree.
I agree. Like that's kind of what I was gonna say as well. Like leading into SmackDown, it does feel like there's gonna be some shenanigans that happen with this match. And I'm gonna even take it a step farther. I definitely think Fatu gets involved, but I think Randy gets involved as well. And who knows what ends up happening there, but I do think it ends up being all four of them being involved. And maybe it's not this week where it gets announced. Maybe it's next week where it gets announced after another match or something else happens. But I do think Drew goes into WrestleMania as the champion. I do not think he walks out as the champion, but I think any of those four options walking out as the champion are healthy, solid champions to go with after WrestleMania.
So just we'll obviously talk about this more later, but do you think there's a chance that it's not Cody walking out of WrestleMania as champ?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Orton could easily walk out with be the champion. And
I would love that.
again,
Yeah.
I think he loses it again right away, but only for one reason to build to the Cena number. Like he has to lose it to win it
Yep.
again. So I feel like he could win the belt, maybe lose it, maybe he could hold it to SummerSlam, and then or maybe even before SummerSlam and then win it again at SummerSlam, which would give 16,
60.
Yeah.
and then
Time with Flair, which I think is where he personally that's where I think he ends. I think he ends tied with Flair, not tied or beating Cena.
I honestly
Yeah,
think at WrestleMania next year in Saudi or in tie Cena doesn't pass him. I think he'll tie Cena at 17 and then retire after he wins that belt. Or like he'll get a little retirement tour the way he deserves,
Yeah.
but he won't wind up winning a belt on that tour. That's just,
yeah. The perfect like up to going up till SummerSlam for me is Randy winning the a banger of a Fatal 4 Way at WrestleMania, and then having fighting Cody at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
Because we've
Yeah.
been wanting this teasing of Cody and Randy forever now, and so I like the 4 Way at WrestleMania will be great, but I definitely want a one-on-one with Randy
I
and
want
Cody.
heel Cody as well, and we can get it. This build up can all do it, and not only that, you can't turn Orton heel anymore. It's too late.
Hmm.
Everyone loves
Too
him.
over.
There's no such thing as Orton heel anymore. He could come up and say, "This is the worst city I've ever been in. You guys are scumbags." Yeah, they'll sing his song, whatever. You turn
Yeah,
Cody heel, and Cody just starts talking shit to everybody. He can get some serious heat because, like,
Yeah.
people have already started turning on him.
look,
Give us heel Cody, and I'll be so damn. This could be one of the craziest storylines we've seen since, I guess, Cena turning heel, right?
yeah, we haven't really talked about it much over the last like couple months. He has not been the clean cut
Right.
baby face.
Right.
He's been having some real
He's gained
like
some weight too, right? Little
he
chunky
is,
area.
yeah. But he's been having some not like heel promos, but definitely not just clean cut baby face. So
Yeah.
it feels like they kind of been hinting at it, and especially like going out like you did in Chamber with Drew and Randy. I mean, definitely that could absolutely be the catalyst for
And I
a
will
heel
say,
turn.
the last three wrestlers that all brought out a liquor all turned heel, including The Rock, including Stone Cold, and including freaking I forgot the other guy. But Cody now has one too. It's a whiskey or whatever.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, like, who knows?
Yeah, but yeah. So we'll see. And then let's get into Seth. I'm actually surprised it was Seth. Like, obviously, like he
Yeah.
was kind of the most obvious answer, but even with that, like still surprised it actually was Seth.
No, I was completely shocked. Like I was one that did not expect him back this fast from injury. There were a lot of rumors and reports that he was fighting to get back as quick as he can, which maybe that's why Seth Rollins is injured so often, is because he's constantly fighting to get back so quick and so,
Hmm.
fast that he's not letting his body recover. And then 6 months later, he's just injured again. But you know what? It's WrestleMania season. Seth, we've been talking a lot between the three of us about wrestlers with aura. I mean, if Seth Rollins isn't a wrestler with aura, I don't know who is. I mean, him coming into that chamber in a place where, I mean, he was just feuding with Punk. He hates CM Punk maybe more than Roman Reigns does. And Chicago was singing his song and loving him just the same.
Hmm.
And I think having Seth Rollins back, even if it is just another WrestleMania rematch with Logan Paul, I'm all for it. Seth Rollins
Yeah.
here is better than Seth Rollins not being here.
I will say I don't think Seth is. I don't think we're going to see Seth wrestle until WrestleMania. Like, I think we're just
Yeah,
going to be getting. I don't think he's healthy. He
yeah,
probably won't be until WrestleMania. But they had to bring him back to build some sort of match.
I wasn't shocked. So here, I was when this whole thing originally started. Seth was always gonna be the masked man, but I was shocked they didn't pivot away once Bronson and Braun Breaker both got hurt. So I thought maybe it was gonna be maybe Grayson Waller to maybe fight what's his name,
theory.
Theory. I thought they would pivot away because the original story was obviously Seth Rollins comes back and breaks down each of this vision, blah blah blah, and Braun, who speared him and took him out in the first place, that was going to be the WrestleMania match. Can't really have that now, so we think. We don't know. But yeah, I was just kind of shocked that they didn't pivot. But now that we have Seth back, I'm so excited about it. You have to have Seth in some kind of. I hope it's not for Brock Lesnar or for knocking out Paul Heyman or whatever. Just even though I think that would be, and then again they had the SummerSlam, like they both
Uh-huh.
appeared. It's like I don't know. That's kind of where I think they're leaning. But I
You were
want
there for that.
Oba versus Lesnar, so I don't want the Seth in. I don't know. I really don't know what we're gonna get. I do think Seth is never gonna be healthy. It's impossible. That knee is cooked. So no matter
Yeah.
what happens for the rest of his career, which I don't think is gonna be too much longer, honestly, but he's never gonna be healthy. So whenever he can do to, they put the needles in, whatever they do to make him feel better, that's gonna happen for the rest of his life until he's done wrestling. So whether we see him wrestle before WrestleMania or not, he doesn't have to. We don't need him to do anything else. We know who Seth Rollins is.
Hmm.
As long as he's at WrestleMania doing something, I'll be happy. I just kind of don't want it to be versus Brock Lesnar, and I kind of think that's where they're leaning.
Yeah, I don't really see that. I don't think that's a good match. I don't think that's a match anybody really wants to see at this point.
I don't. Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I
but
agree.
I don't, and so I will say, I don't, I think we have old Seth back. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed, like his hair isn't dyed,
No
and then
blonde in his hair.
and then obviously, he was coming out in mask stuff, but he's not wearing those flamboyant clothes now as of yet. It kind of looks like we might have Seth of old back, which would be great.
Just need like that old, like just straight to the point, all business, like yeah.
And do you
Hmm.
remember the last person he fought before he got this flamboyant freaking thing? Brock freaking Lesnar, and he lost the belt to him. So I
Yeah.
really just hope, man, just give me Oba. I want Oba Lesnar. I don't want Seth.
Yeah.
Seth needs to. If we get Seth versus Logan, which is the other option, I mean, it was
We've
supposed to
seen
be
it
Braun. We
already.
know that. But Seth versus Logan could be good.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be super, like, yay. But I would be okay. Like, as long as they did some stuff in the ring, which, again, we know they both could go crazy. They
Yeah,
could put on the number one match of the night. They have the
Oh yeah.
yeah.
potential to do so. I just, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
See,
I do think
like,
that's the other option, though.
I think it is going to be Seth and Logan at Mania, and I think they're going to put on a really great match, and it's going to end with interference from Braun, and then we set up Braun versus Seth at SummerSlam. I think that's where they're going to head with that out of Mania. I don't think we're going to see Braun until Mania. Like I think he's probably if not healthy now, or he probably could come back now if they wanted him to, but I think they're going to hold him out until Mania. Um, and interfere in a Logan Seth match. Anything else y'all want to talk about the men's match?
No, just one last thing, just in general. The Elimination Chamber kind of was supposed to be about the vision and, like, being still super strong, which is why Logan got 3 eliminations, because Braun was supposed to get like 3 or 4 eliminations. But now we're at a point where what the hell happens with the vision? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
on the little sheet that whatever we were going over beforehand, one thing says, where does this take us? Where does, like, what did it build up to? Well, I know one thing. I don't know what the hell division's built up or built down against. Like, where do they go from now? Do they get new people? Is Bronson Reed actually really really hurt? Is Braun Breaker really hurt? Like, he could be out for another 5 months. We don't know. So I don't freaking know what's going on with division. So that's a big question mark right now. It's supposed to be like, it was supposed to be like Bloodline 2.0, and now they're like Evolution 2.0, where they all just disappear. So I don't know.
Last
I
night
mean,
when it was just Paul, Logan, and Theory in the ring, and Paul was like, "We are the Vision," and I was like, What is
What
this? Like
it,
this is
what did
this is
Theory do with that?
hilarious."
But, like, we didn't ever talk about that. Theory was just kind of looking in the cage. He had the opportunity to stop one of the masks, man. He didn't do nothing. Right? He was just
nothing.
kind of looking. The cage was open that whole time. He didn't. What the hell was Theory
He could have
doing? I
went in
don't know
there
what
and
the.
Yeah,
helped Logan before Seth even showed up. He could have attacked like
yeah.
Cody
Right.
and Randy. Like they're either
And that's
booking
another thing
him
I
like
found funny is
a moron.
the door was open like
Yeah,
for
Right.
a
For
long
hot
time.
forever.
minutes. Yeah.
It was hilarious. All right. So Glenn already gave us his overall, 9 out of 10. What do you rate it at, David?
Yeah, I mean, kind of for all the same reasons Glenn said. I mean, I did give it an 8.5 out of 10. And the only reason I went a little bit lower, like I said, is just kind of all the same reasons Glenn already spoke on. AJ Lee and Becky did bring it down a little bit. And there was a couple other spots throughout the night where it was like, okay, if I'm nitpicking, like Glenn said, yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit more hard on it, especially for the pay-per-view leading up to WrestleMania, solidifying a lot of our main title pictures and giving us stories that are supposed to matter the most to us almost 2 full months out of WrestleMania. Like it was a really good show. It was a really good card. Like I said, my biggest grievance personally is just I think we would have had time for an extra match, even if it wasn't one of those matches that
Hmm.
gave us that WrestleMania story or whatever. Even if they would have given us Oba versus Rusev on Chamber instead of next week's Raw. You know what I mean? Giving Oba that exposure to get on a pay-per-view card and get more eyes and get more people watching him. Like just whatever the case was, it could have really been anything. I just think having that fifth match, even if it's a 5 minute squash, would have really helped the show overall. But even then, I'm still giving it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with y'all around an 8.5, 9. I do think this is the best non SummerSlam or Mania that we've had in probably a couple of years at least, PLE wise. So yeah, I mean, I agree. I thought it was great all around. Great storylines, great winners.
So look at that.
Outside of
Danhausen has already given us nines, man.
exactly, all we needed was Danhausen.
Ninehouse.
Nine.
Nine houses. All right. Anything else y'all want to talk about?
Good.
No,
All
sir.
right. That does it for us on this episode of Triple Threat Analysis. Make sure you follow us on TikTok and YouTube and subscribe to the Spotify. And we'll see y'all next time.